All right, folks. Hopefully, everyone can see me. Everyone can hear me. Yeah. So we are going to do some Sabertooth today. Yeah. So feel free to comment, join in. Anybody that does like this, feel free to let me know. This will be for sale after the video's over. So we're talking $60, free shipping. So uh, let's get into it and let's roll. So being left-handed also means I have to start on the left hand of the page, typically. Might be time to upgrade some of these, get some new pens. I have some Rapidographs, which are really cool pens, but you have to start using those sooner. I know these are refillable, but somehow they they're not always available, which is kind of a pain. But what are you gonna do, right? I, basically, I use it till I wear it out, and if I can buy a new one, I will buy a replacement. If not, you know, kind of up a creek without a paddle, as the saying goes. So, a little bit of what I'm doing here is I had this kind of roughly laid this out, sketched it out a little bit, and when I do sketch covers, I typically start with very loose drawing, um, and I will go in there and gradually add detail. So you'll see that there's not a lot going on at first. I'll think it up the lines as things as I progress, I would say. I'm not too worried about lines overlapping or kind of crossing over too much, especially these outer lines here, because I will end up adjusting those once I get more of the piece done. But yeah, going back to the description here, this is definitely my favorite version of Wolverine, Sabertooth in Wolverine. The first X-Men movie. I think the guy recently came out has had some medical issues, so hopefully he gets well soon. Wishing him the best. Can't remember his name. I'm sure everyone out there's a lot of you that probably do remember his name. There's just so much in the media these days. It's hard to really keep track of what's what. But yeah, just kind of hanging in there, doing it, and really enjoy this version of Sabertooth. He just really seems to just kind of embody what I always thought Sabertooth is the big tall dude, crazy, very was it Mark Texira? Sorry if I butchered that. But yeah, very similar to how he drew Sabertooth. Um, Nowhere near the talent, but that's really one of my early first versions of Sabertooth. Um, I did a Jim Lee run on Uncanny X-Men and X-Men. I don't know if Sabertooth, I don't think he showed up really until Jim Lee was doing his own X-Men book, but they did have several Uncanny X-Men books, but I don't think if I had one where Sabretooth was in it by Jim Lee, but I saw Mark do some Ghost Rider stuff, which was phenomenal, and then I saw he was doing what was he doing? He was doing a Sabretooth limited series, which really kind of stuck with me over the years. Um, and really loved his version there. So this is kind of my I don't necessarily say homage, but this is definitely, my closest I can get to that version of Sabertooth. Um, I always liked how big he was in the way Mark drew him. Just had a lot of big muscles. Muscles are fun in superheroes. I do a lot of muscles in my superheroes. Just kind of tightening up. Some of my pencil lines were a little loose. For those that don't know, I typically will do couple passes at pencils, sometimes two or three, uh, to really flesh out a lot of the shapes and details and things like that. And with this one, when I end up doing a pass, I'll go in and lighten it up, and then sometimes things get a little too light, as in this one here. So, but I just basically, when I do sketch covers, the point is to make it loose. I don't do. I try not to. Sometimes I get a little overboard, but I try not to do a lot of like highly detailed, super polished looking sketch covers, and that's just a personal preference for me. I like keeping it loose. Um, I like keeping it a little bit more like a gestural drawing, um, that kind of thing. So we're just going to keep working on back to the pen, keep working this, all these different shapes and blacks and all kinds of stuff. So, and then some of these lines are going to end up getting used as shadows. They may end up getting filled in as details or other shapes. It just, I don't know. It just kind of, when I'm doing sketch covers, I just kind of go with a very loose sketch, and then I end up working that sketch, uh, adding more detail, refining it, but not overly refining it to where it would be like a finished drawing. Like if you see some of my cover artwork for Luke or Ice Pick, Annabelle, any of those, uh, it's definitely tighter. A lot of the inks or the work the artwork that I'll produce for those books. Um, but I will come in here and just slowly refine things until it's like a nice loose looking sketch cover. So I mean that's typically my process. I try not to overdo it because time is money, to be honest, and I want to keep these sketch covers at a modest $60 for pen and ink. And I know, I mean, I got SummerCon this weekend. I'm getting super stoked for it. So I know that a lot of artists, they can charge, upwards of hundreds of dollars for a sketch cover, and that's fine. I mean, I could go in here and do a full rendering and color it all out, do a full background, and end up charging $300-400 for it. But I feel like that kind of, in my opinion, I want to defeats the purpose. My purpose for sketch covers is to have a inexpensive entry for original art, and it's all about also knowing your worth. I'm not gonna charge hundreds of dollars for my art. Um, I just feel again, I want it to be original covers. Yeah, that can be a little different. Um, or original artwork. When I do spend uh, a lot of time working on it, that can definitely uh, be expensive, and I get that. Uh, but sketch covers, I try to keep them loose, simple, and then that way it's a nice way for people to afford original art. And just working out some of these shadows. You have to, it gets a little tricky sometimes when we're dealing with shadows in the foreground and potentially in the background. So I would say with this area in general, I want to shadow these lines in. Uh, that's part of his costume. So I want to be careful not to. I mean, you can bleed shadow into a shadow, and there's some really cool things that artists do when they do that. But for this piece, I am trying not to do that. So I'm just being a little bit more aware of where my shadows are and how I'm approaching them. So yeah, yeah, people feel free to chime in. Anybody that's actively watching or that is um, chilling, hanging in the background, or that will see this another day, another time, by all means, let me know what you think. And like I said, this will be available for sale for $60, free shipping. So let me know if you want it. Just give me a comment and we'll work out all the details. We'll go from there. If not, this will definitely go with me for SummerCon, which for those that are not in the Pacific Northwest here, it's I think we live at southeast of Seattle, and it's been a few years since I've been there, so I'm really looking forward to getting back in there. I kind of made the mistake of getting a vendor table versus an artist alley table, so you know, hopefully we can make that work this year. They're just tremendously more expensive, I would say, and that was one of my concerns with this year. But we'll see how it goes. Like I said, I'm pretty stoked. It's always a great show. They've definitely, in the last, I think it's been about 3 years since I've been there, they've really expanded the show itself, expanded the guests. I do believe Cap City convention next weekend, and that is in Lacey, Seattle, or Lacey, Washington, which is also south of Seattle. And me and uh, Brian Dorsey are doing a panel with a few other creators. We're doing an indie comics panel, maybe doing a workshop too as well. So we'll see. He's Mountain West Productions, if I'm not mistaken. Brian, correct me if I'm wrong, but he's been doing a lot of short films, winning film festivals, things like that. So it's really cool that he's going to be there with his books. And if you don't know who he is, go check him out. Look for him on Facebook and whatnot. War Angels is his kind of, I guess, flagship title, if I were to call it that. It's definitely one of his more popular titles. Uh, but yeah, hit him up. We got a lot of cool artists showing up for SummerCon. He'll be there, and yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. Um, let's see. I don't know how I'm liking that thumb, and we're going to have to touch this up just a tick because the thumb's going to kind of work like that with the nail. Yeah, they can go more kind of more straight. The nails more like that, kind of like that, and then you actually have the base of the hand like that, kind of like yeah. And my favorite thing to do is when in doubt, black it out. Um, Marked a ton of that in Sabertooth. It's just shadows in the shadows in the shadows, and it just his artwork was very influential. I don't draw necessarily the way he draws because that's such a unique style. It's very, if I want to say, it's organized chaos. Mark's work is, but it's phenomenal. His Ghost Rider and his Sabertooths are just some of the best out there. Uh, yeah, so yeah, we'll kind of do it like that. Leave the hand a little bit in the black there. We'll come down and hit that up, but let's get this going up here. We got to get his fur again. Just really put in a lot of the basic shapes, the basic lines, and what this will do is give me kind of a starting point to refine the lines, refine all the shapes, and make it more interesting. Um, so I think I want this is all going to be black. Okay. So let's do that. Make all that black. So if that's going to be black, what we want to do is fix this. So let's not have his whole nose in black. We're going to do it like that. We're gonna do just a little bit of the mouth, that, give him a little snarl, work these eyes a little bit, get them a little bit meaner, and then come up there, big bushy eyebrows. That's the other really cool thing. I like the way they did him in X-Men, Sabertooth, that is. It was just like crazy, crazy hair, crazy eyebrows, all kinds of craziness. And then this will be black, that'll all be black. Yeah, that could work. And then we'll put in his little ear thing, and then that'll all be color. Come down in here, work that, and then if that's gonna be black, oh no, let's do this under his chin, and then what I'll do is we'll feather that out to kind of show a little bit of light there. Gotta add some black behind his ear. That, maybe come up to, maybe connect it there. Do something like that. We'll figure that out. And then this will all be black. And then it goes into there, a little highlight there on the edge, little rim lighting there, and then we'll do some basic shapes in here. Nothing too descriptive. I just want to keep it um, kind of loose. But I do want to add a little bit of the chest. So that's kind of, and then this will be black. So yeah, there we go. A lot of that's black actually. Um, that's black, that's black. We need to tighten this up and have that like that, and then this will be black. How do I want? Whoa, hey, thinking, thinking, thinking. That's black. That's black. Yeah, add some detail there, some there, some there. Okay, I think I got it all figured out. Okay, so let me tighten up. Yeah, let's tighten some of these lines up a little bit. And like that. Nice little fade there. Uh, Again, I'm not adding a ton of detail, but I do love detail. It's definitely one of my favorite things. And okay, so then come back to here. If this is black, that's going to be black. That's black. And then this is all black here. Black, black, black. Those are black. That's light. And then we're going to come down here, do like some really cool Jim Lee stuff. Or, many artists do that kind of blending out of a line. Yeah, that's going to be cool. Black, black, black. Okay. So what I want to do is come up in here. That's going to be black. And let's actually, we're going that way. We might make all this hair the highlight of the hair, and then fill all that in so it kind of is like some of the hairs are peeking out. And then do this, connect that with that, that with that. Yeah, there we go. And then that's going to be all black. Do this. Okay. All right. Oh, let's hit his face because that's important. That, that, and then that's all going to be black. And we'll put some more hair in there. Big bushy eyebrows, menacing eyes. All the traits of a good bad guy, right? I mean, if you're a bad guy, you kind of have to have those menacing eyes. Huh? And we'll just do like that for the nose. Just little hints. Doesn't have to be a lot. Um, yeah. Yeah, I think we'll go with that. Now, the thing here I just noticed is we got black on black over here. So we're going to just pencil that out to give me a nice little highlight there. There we go. Too much. Well, enough. All right, so there's that. Okay, come down here with this, that, and so I use these. What do we say? These Uden Oshuku. Terrible at Japanese. I do believe they're Japanese. Um, really, really good pens, and uh, there's a hard tip and a soft tip. And I tend to lean towards the harder tip for certain aspects, um, and they do a nice little feathering of lines, which I like. They go thick to thin, really cool. Uh, and I like you can kind of just control it a lot easier. I'll probably go back in here with the other pen, but I do some refining. I will say when I'm doing this type of stuff because I don't want the lines to look really bad and terrible. I mean, trying to be professional at least, right? So I will touch up some of the lines, come back with a smaller uh, pen, hit that up. But I like these. Is it Joe Madeira did some really cool back in the day. Well, I'm sure his style is still very similar, but back in the day, he did really nice fat outlines on a lot of characters, and I really gravitated towards that loosely, not fully, as in, I mean, I do it, I try to outline my characters. So, and I mean, obviously, there's a lot of design reasons why you'd want to do that. Um, so, uh, but he really brought attention to that type of design. And when I'm doing these bigger lines here, it's kind of like I just want to make sure that I'm not overdoing it, and I want to make sure that I still come in and still have the definition of any detail. Sometimes I will, with the pen, I'll draw something, and when I go back to ink it here, I'm kind of like I didn't really like the way that looked on the edge of the character, so I will do it a little bit different. So yeah, you know, appreciate those who are tuning in and listening to me ramble about art and my process. It's fun. I love doing it. I'll be doing this all day Saturday, Friday. Well, half a day Friday, all day Saturday and Sunday this weekend. So if you guys are in the area, Pacific Northwest, Puyallup area, south of Seattle, SummerCon is happening. It's going to be a blast. It is really one of my favorite shows to do, along with Grit City. I've done that one quite a bit. Have a great time at both those shows, and looking forward to both of those. Also, just got in to FenCon, so anybody out there familiar with that show, shout out to great people that put that show on. Um, yeah, so I got 4 shows this year, maybe more. Who knows? I just definitely got to start expanding visibility in shows, whatever it takes, right? Uh, so we're gonna come in here, and I like these pens also because I can outline my blacks and get it ready to fill. You get this nice black outline, and you can say, "Oh, okay, that looks good." Come in there with a fatter marker and get that filled in. kind of like that. With this up, come down with that. Oh, it doesn't have to be perfect. Like I said, I like to keep sketches really loose. Um, I got a handful of blanks that I'll be bringing to the show. Try to get some of those finished up here. You know, like I said, I really like having this relatively inexpensive entry level for original art. And what I'll end up doing here is we'll show you with this one. Get in here and get some of this detail going too. I will be debuting something completely new from the studio at SummerCon. So those in attendance will know what that is, but everyone else, you're gonna have to just wait a couple more days. And oh, also, I'll be doing my first Whatnot auction tomorrow at 3 p.m. Pacific. So if you got Whatnot, if you're interested, come by, hang out. I'll have the one thing, the new item that I'm debuting at SummerCon. I'll have a little preview tomorrow. So if you want to know what that is, by all means, jump on Dark Space Studios on Whatnot. Studio, I should say, and no S. And yeah, we'll be doing that. So curious how that platform is going to be for me. I know a lot of people have success in it. I never done it, so you know, old dog, new tricks. Is that how it goes, right? Old dog, new tricks. But yeah, we're gonna try to make that happen. So yeah, if you have any questions or you're just curious on art process or tools, um, reason why I do stuff, I mean, stuff like that, by all means, let me know. Um, this will be up for sale after this live stream. If you're interested, $60, free shipping, and just gotta let me know because if not, it's going into the stack of sketch covers for SummerCon. So, and I'm hoping to do more of these, whether it be live streaming me drawing. I'm gonna leave pretty much like online selling to Whatnot. I have a few other platforms I'm gonna announce on Monday. I'm just getting the final things together for those, and so you'll see a lot more of Dark Space Studio online in various markets, various websites, and stuff like that too. Of course, you can always purchase stuff. That's my hard sell. You can always purchase stuff off my website, Dark Space Studio. um, but yeah, I know a lot of people like. There's other platforms people use that definitely have a fan base and a user base, and we'll be diving my toes into that, which is kind of cool. And I'm always up for working on new projects. So, let me know if you got something you need some work done. Happy to help. Anyways, back to Sabertooth. Enough gabbing about buying stuff. Um, but yeah, just filling in these areas, wrapping up, kind of getting the basics blacks filled out. Once I start filling in blacks, it'll go pretty quick. This will really come together pretty fast. So I'll do the blacks, and then when I'm done with the blacks, I end up going in with more detail. So for me, I know like Kelly Jones just does some phenomenal black work, shadow work, if you want to call it that, but not like shadow work like witchcraft shadow work that I know of. I mean, either way, I call it shadow work because it's he's building shadows and shapes, and Ryan Benjamin's another one, another great artist that just does a lot of good like shadow work and building out these spaces for blacks to live. I think it's really important to do that. I try what I can, my best, to build out shapes and shadows. I have to say, consistency and shadows is probably one of the two things I struggle with the most. Um, it seems pretty easy, right? You're like, hey, the light source is hitting this way, and therefore everything goes that way. And although that is true, that is very true, um, it also, if done incorrectly, it looks weird and wonky. And that's that's kind of what I struggle with is getting things not to look weird and wonky when I do shadow work, when I fill in these blacks, because your muscles are going to have natural shapes, right? And you want those muscles to have a natural shape, um, or maybe unnatural shape. I don't know, depending on how your hero or person is built, right? Whatever you're drawing, I guess the Max isn't going to have natural muscle work because that dude's just like off the rails with some of the fun anatomy that's going on with the Max. Um, and Yeah, but generally speaking, it's going to be like that. Oh, that's all black, so that won't matter. Yeah, see, and then once I start filling in these blacks down here, it's really going to look pretty cool. And I'm probably going to fill this in a little bit more to give it the illusion that the base is thicker, or it's kind of going into the shadows, because that's all black too, right? So if we come across this way and we build this organic looking feathering of the color or the blacks, the shapes, I guess, you know, then what we'll have is a very natural looking feathering into blacks into the fur, right? And it's kind of that would be my goal here is to get this very natural, if it be natural. Um, you know, we'll just do as we go up, we'll do less and less. You know, less and less line work, and then that will give you the illusion that it's lighter and it's more in the light as opposed to in the shadows. That's the fun thing with fur. Like you could really go crazy with fur, and this is probably the hardest thing about this drawing is doing fur because it can go in all kinds of different ways, right? And um, having two cats, fur can get matted in all sorts of fun things and fun shapes, So we can kind of see it taking a little bit of shape here. And it's okay if it's not perfect because it's not meant to be, right? Fur is not perfect. Fur crosses over into other sections. It gets clumpy. It gets like wonky, I guess would be a way to put it, describe it. It gets fat, thin. There's random shapes. There's all kinds of stuff. So yeah, and as I get up here, I just do a little bit less and less and less. So definitely heavier down here, which kind of wanted a little bit more. I almost want it like, because his chest is so like kind of big. You do this, you can get that chest kind of pushed out a little bit. And then it makes it look like down in this section where this chest piece is here, it's receding into the shadow. So, all right, enough babbling about that. Let's see what we got here. I'm using this, what is this, a Olo marker. Kind of got it free at one of the conventions. They were just kind of wanting us to sample markers and stuff, and um, it's okay. I got to be honest. I kind of like the Copic a little bit better because Copic, however you say it. I feel the blacks are a little bit blacker, and I feel like it matches. Well, it matches my multi-liner pen because it's the same ink. But they can be a pain to refill the Copic markers. So especially the way they changed up the new refill container. It's really a pain in the butt. So, but that's all right. But I got this one, so we're just trying this out, seeing how it looks. Kind of working the blacks I have. I got to fill that up before I go to SummerCon, the Copic one, because it's getting a little low. Don't want to run out and try to get all that filled in while I'm trying to do some artwork and got to run to the bathroom to get the marker filled up. So, or I send my wife and she's like, "What are you making me go to the bathroom?" So no, I'll get it filled up. We'll have it ready to go. This is very similar to the Copic in the sense that it's got a fat tip and a small tip. Um, I have a lot of sharp corners and stuff, so I'm kind of using the thinner tip. It's like a I don't know if you can see that, but it's like a it's just a feather tip, nothing special. Um, and the other one is like a chisel tip. So yeah, and you can like turn it sideways a little bit, lay it on the side when I'm filling in blacks, and that gives me a nice fatter line than if I'm just use the tip. So I'll use this till it's out. May end up. I don't know if I'll really invest in getting a bunch of these. I have a bunch of Copics that I use for Garbage Pail Kids and stuff, and I do like those. I mean, as an artist, we sometimes can overinvest in stuff that we may or may not end up using. So I try to keep a minimal supply of art stuff. If I'm doing a show, I tend to stock up on stuff, but generally speaking, I can go to the local art store and just pick up some stuff if I need it, to get me through a piece. So, yeah, hopefully everyone's enjoying everything out there and it's not too crazy. Um, not too hard to see. I just having a lot of fun here doing this. You guys get to see kind of a behind the scenes of what's going on, and I enjoy that. So, all right, back to this. We're gonna do this here. Smaller stuff I can use. The other felt tip pen. And actually, let me get in here. I may have to bust out my rapidographs because not with this piece, but for SummerCon. I don't know if I'll have enough. I got like 5 or 6 sketch covers to work on, so I don't know if I'll have enough to kind of get in there and finish all the sketch covers. All right, let's get in his hair. His hair's gonna kind of go up into. There we go. So, again, it doesn't have to be perfect, just trying to keep it loose. And actually, what I want to do is, this is his mask. Yeah, we're going to fill that in. I'm actually going to come down here and do something like that, just to kind of push it back a little bit more. Now we have this piece, but what I want to do is also highlight the corner of his ear. Keep that like that so we see his his pork chops come out the side of his face. Yeah, we're just gonna do stuff like that. And wispy stuff up there. There we go. So now we're just kind of working his face a little bit, working his head. I'll come in here and outline all this, and then I can get the blacks filled in a little bit better. I kind of lost that little piece there, but that's okay. Sometimes when we're inking, we can overdo our lines, and it kind of crosses over a little bit, but that's okay. There, and then that. Oh, let's do this here. Might as well while we got this in my hand. Let's get this. Again, it doesn't have to be perfect. Just kind of get it going there. All right, so since I'm doing an X-Men character, let's go down the list. I'm wrapping this up here. We're going to be done relatively soon. I just got to do his hand, fill in some blacks, add in a little bit of detail, and we're going to call it a day. Um, favorite X-Men. My favorite X-Men. Well, obviously, it's going to be Wolverine. Why? You know, that's a great question. I never really thought about it too much because I just ended up the first time I saw him, it was from it was Uncanny X Men. It was the Extinction Saga, and I think that's the one where it's Wolverine, Storm, and Professor X on the cover. I'd have to look up what issue number it was, but this was 40 years ago, probably close to that. Um, that storyline was amazing. You want good ideas for X Men? Bring them into the Disney Marvel universe. Do Extinction. Do that storyline. It was phenomenal. Anyways, so I just saw him. Ended up buying some X Men cards that Jim Lee ended up drawing all the cards for. A lot of people do Wolverine. Fantastic. They draw him very, very well. I'm not really picky about certain Wolverine artists. I think a lot of them do them really good. My pet peeve is the when he's got his costume on, the ears. That's probably my biggest pet peeve is when artists do very small ears. And now I would say, speaking of ears, yes, I like Batman with like super big ears like Kelly Jones, the way he draws them. But to be honest, not like I don't need them super big for Wolverine. But you know, they got to come off his head. When the artists draw his ears and they're almost like very short to his head, it just I don't know something about it. Personal preference. Call me crazy, totally fine. Um, that's just my opinion on that whole thing. So, uh, and then from there, it's going to be Gambit and Rogue are probably my next two favorites. Um, they are just classic uh, characters, in my opinion. Um, I I love the Jim Lee run on X Men when he went on his own and did his own X Men books. That's kind of the pinnacle for me of getting into comics. You know, I my first comic was a GI Joe issue, a very early one. Like I want to say somewhere's around 6 or 8, and um, and then I ended up just really falling in love with the comics as a whole, and reading as much as I could afford back then. Really, I mean, yes, they were cheaper, but you know, as a kid who's like, you know, 13, 14 years old, you're talking income was limited at that time for us at that age. Um, so I wasn't able to go and spend, you know, 20, $30 on 20 comics or more. I mean, they were pretty, I think they were, when I started reading, they were under a dollar, maybe a dollar. I'd have to look up the timeline of when they changed prices, but here nor there. Wolverine's my favorite. I'm going to be on team hate for Cyclops. He's definitely not my favorite. Uh, I do love Storm. I think she's awesome. I loved her in the comic book. I loved, you know, as much maybe she got a lot of hate. I don't know, but I really did like her in the X Men movie in the early 2000s. Super fun character. I'm not a huge. It was I think it was Holly Berry. Not a huge Holly Berry fan in general, but I think she did a fantastic job. Um, and so, yeah, Jean Grey. I mean, everyone likes Jean Grey, so I mean, she's fun. She's good. I think they did her dirty in the X Men movies, but again, you know, just opinion. I do agree X-Men 3 was probably the worst of them. Um, I have to say, X-Men Apocalypse is a dirty secret pleasure of mine. Not dirty. I guess it's not dirty. Sorry. But it's a guilty pleasure is what I meant to say. It's a guilty pleasure. It's terrible. I have no right. Unfriend me if you must. That movie is utter garbage, and but I like it. It's super goofy. I like Psylocke in it. She's on my list, probably top 10. Um, so yeah. But yeah, I'm kind of excited to see what they're gonna do with the X Men in the Marvel Disney universe. Honestly, I'm gonna sit there and hot take. I would love to see someone else be playing Wolverine besides Hugh Jackman. Let the dude retire, please. The guy's like 150 years old. I mean, yeah, we all love him as Wolverine. I do too. I absolutely love him as Wolverine. But to be honest, like, give the guy a break for crying out loud. Um, you know, so that's my hot take on X Men. Haven't seen X Men '97 for those wondering. Heard it was good. Animation is meh. It's okay in my opinion, but as my wife knows, I can be picky about animation. So take that with a grain of salt because I didn't like. I tried watching Clone Wars and it was just awful in my opinion. Um, like some characters look cool with that animation style, but most didn't. So you know that's fine. However you want to do it. I mean, I know it had like I think 6 seasons and it was successful. So good job, guys. You made a good or women. You made a good show, but that doesn't mean that it was good. I mean, animation. I didn't like it. Same thing with X Men '97. I saw the stuff with Rogue and the goofiness. That's fine. They're gonna do what they're gonna do. We don't have a say so in that, do we? Unless we're on the team. Um, I don't know something about the '90s that really sticks with me. The way comics were made, the way uh, art was drawn, the way stuff was colored, the way everything. So as you see, I did blend in that line into the shadow of his thumb and this one here too. So once I add in some detail, I'll add in a loose shadow underneath that, and that'll take care of some of that. It'll pull it off and separate it a little bit more. Um, but we're gonna do this, and we're getting close to wrapping this thing up here. Um, okay, I'm just gonna do some more black, some more detail, and then I think we're gonna call it a wrap. So I'm gonna do this, come up here, and blend those two together. Fill this in black because it's behind everything. Give me more shadow on this. Kind of bring that in there. Oh, we'll fill that in with that as well. And then we can do this because, yeah, and we can do this. So we're basically hinting at a lot of these shadows. And sometimes that works really, really well. Um, okay, gotta make sure I'm filling in the right areas here. That would be my luck. End up totally destroying a sketch cover because I filled in the wrong areas. Oh, and it has happened. I totally filled in the wrong areas on artwork. Kind of had to make do and make stuff up. Okay. So this is another section. We're gonna work this a little bit, and those interested, I think I mentioned it. Got a few people watching, but yeah, if you're interested, just let me know. $60, free shipping. It will be available to purchase. So um, if not, I'll take it to SummerCon with me and see how it goes there. But we're gonna fill this in black because you got that highlight there, and I really want to pop his face. See how that works? That works a lot better. And then I can come in here with this. Like I said, this doesn't have to be anything special. There's a few indications of fur flying out. But down here, definitely going to fill this in a little bit more and kind of blend it out a little bit because that's in the shadows. There we go. Clean up that line. Okay. There we go. Now you can kind of see how it all blends. All right. Do believe that's all the blacks. Now it's time for the fun of detailing. So we want to pull this on a little bit like that. Pull that back a little bit. Picking this line up here. Yeah, and that's all I'm really looking for. Add some feathering to this kind of stuff. Clean up some of the lines. I tend to the term throwing is one of the terms I've heard thrown around, no pun intended, when you're inking, and how some people like to throw up or away from their body because you could technically go as long as your arm or further. Uh, but I always feel comfortable coming towards me. It does limit my ability to do longer lines, but I also feel that I have more control over those lines. Again, that's just a personal preference here. You know, I don't know why. I always feel like I have more control when I do that. And so, yeah. And this also like kind of helps with to define some of the muscles a little bit like they're coming out of the shadows more so as opposed to just stark black white. A lot of artists can do very good black white with no cross hatching, no blending, no scaling, whatever it takes to kind of have this variation of color and grays. Um, Notice like I'd like this to be a little bit cleaner, that be a little bit cleaner, that be a little bit pointier, maybe. I don't know. Okay, so we're going to work this area. So we have a shadow. With the light coming from this side down, I'm going to kind of follow this loosely. Do it like that. And then we're just going to do this. I try to keep things as even as possible. It doesn't always work out that way. Okay, right. All right. So again, not trying to do too much. Just add a little bit of there. Actually, come up here. Up there. Yeah. Give me something like that. Okay. Let's work this what is that? His left arm? Yeah. Let's hit this up. So that's going to be that. Okay. So we have muscles here, right? We definitely have muscles. And I want to have these muscles kind of feather out a little bit. There we go. Let's add a little bit something there. Let's tighten this up a little bit. There we go. And then what I can do is this. Yeah, yeah. I do definitely, I will come in here and clean stuff up. Um, Clean up some of the edges on the lines, thicken some of the lines up, clean up the angles, stuff like that. And notice this is kind of, I think it bled a little bit there. definitely something we all have to deal with when we're working. Yeah, add a little bit of detail for his wrist, nothing special. Come in here. I can't really say like what who started this kind of line work with the hatching and all that fun stuff, but I know a lot of the image guys used it, and I just felt it. I really liked it, so I use it. um, so it just depends on your personal style. I like to fill my artwork with detail, so uh, I know a lot of artwork today just doesn't do as much, but I do. I like to do it that way, so uh, it helps to define it, in my opinion. It helps to make the artwork have more shape and dimension than just letting a colorist kind of fill everything out and do everything for me. Um, Noticed I did miss this little here. I want to fill this in a little bit, make it a little bit more, kind of blend that out a little bit more. Yeah. Um, all right. We are about done here. I think I'm going to end up, I don't know, what should I do? Throw some smoke in the background, just something pretty basic, nothing too crazy. Yeah, let's do that. And we're just going to go in here and we're going to do some smoke like that. I like what Brett Booth does. As you, I name dropped a lot of stuff. Is artists during the stream, so those are the guys that definitely. And there's a ton. I think all of us artists out there, we can say like who our biggest influences are, right? But we also have a ton of other artists that influenced us in many different ways. You know what I mean? So um, for me, I have a lot. Um, and I'm sure you guys do as well, or ladies. So I think we're gonna call that one done here. Hope you've enjoyed the stream. Oh, steel line. It's got to be better. Giving it a quick rundown. I think we're pretty good. So you know what? Let me get in here and get this out. Blend that out a little bit more. And let's do this. Follow this a little bit. Yeah, yeah. Give me something here. Again, I can noodle all day. Totally can noodle all day. Um, but I'm not going to. We're going to call it done. I'm going to sign this bad boy. If you're interested, $60, free shipping. And hopefully, if not, no biggie. Appreciate everybody hanging out. And, I hope that you've enjoyed this, albeit quick, long, however you want to look at it, sketch cover live stream. And with that said, I will see you all on the next stream.